From San Antonio, Texas, home of the Alamo, the Riverwalk, and the World Heritage San Antonio Missions, this is the Exit Map Podcast, hosted by John F. Dini, the Exit Planning Coach. Designed to help advisors who work with business owners, John talks with top professionals in the exit planning field about best practices, marketing tips, and how to be more effective when working with owners. Now, here's John F. Dini.
Welcome to today's edition of the Exit Planning Coach podcast. My guest today is Peter Christman. We're doing a series now called The Founders, and we wanted to do Peter first, and he was very, very kind to get on. I'm very excited to have Peter today. Peter is kind of the founder of the Founders. Started the whole ball rolling. What was it, back in 2010? Before that, 2008?
Oh, no, before that, it was in the late 1990s. And
Wow.
in the 1990s, and then really out of the gate around 2005. Yeah.
Well, Peter was an M&A guy, but before that, he started in corporate, and then went on to found EPI, and basically came up with the whole exit planning industry. Kind of sprang out of his forehead like an old Greek myth.
I wish it was that easy.
So, Peter, I'm really looking forward to this, and I'm very excited, as I said.
So am I. I'm honored, John. I'm honored.
So you had 17 years with Ford and Xerox before you got in, and what did you do with them?
Well, I'll tell you what, I started out working for Lee Iacocca at Ford Motor Company back when we introduced the Mustang. And I loved the car business. In fact, I was attempting to train myself to become a dealer at some point in time. And I called on dealers and filled various ranks with the company. And, a car dealer is just, back in those days, the car business was so much fun. And you probably know that we work by the motto of working hard and playing hard. And it was fun doing both. I then was approached in my ninth year by Xerox Corporation. And Xerox was a high flyer at that time. They were just introducing their paper copiers. And I did not want to leave Ford, but they persisted and insisted. And they had gathered one of our other guys that we had in our office, recruited him. He came to me and said, "You gotta join this organization, make more money, and they're high flyers and da 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 da." So I joined Xerox. That's after I was promoted down to Indianapolis with Ford, and I served with Xerox in various management positions. In Indianapolis and then Denver, and then I was promoted to Chicago. My last position was one of being a regional manager with 3,000 people working for me. So that's where I really got my experience in managing people with Xerox. But I think the success that I had in M&A and exit planning can be attributed to my corporate background with Ford and Xerox, because it's not a John, as you know, with all the people you've certified and through, and it's not a background that you see a lot in our profession.
Right.
Usually you see financial background and so forth and so on. So I think calling on dealers and calling on small business owners and using sales techniques and so forth with Ford and Xerox really helped me to be successful after I left them.
You're with Xerox, you've got 3,000 employees in your territory, and you wound up in M&A. What happened there, Peter? I'm not clear.
Well, I really wanted, everyone gets that bug to own your own company, right? And when I was with Ford Motor Company, I was training myself to become a dealer. And I still wanted to become a dealer, even at Xerox, but more importantly, I wanted to get into my own business. So what I decided to do is I left decided to leave Xerox in that corporate job, if you will, and go out on my own, and got into the M&A business on my own.
What made you pick M&A? I mean, that's not the
You
easiest
know
business
what?
to start up.
No, it's not. And I I had gotten a lot of experience in when I worked for Ford Motor Company in what they call dealer development, which were company-owned stores.
Mm-hmm.
And they buy and sell dealerships and so forth. And that's what I was involved. That's where I got the M&A background. And I did some investigation. And in Chicago at that time, there was only one of any note in Chicago, you know. So that's why I looked. I said, "Well, should this guy's doing it, I could be doing it, you know." So I went into my own and did real well on my own. I hired a few people working for me, but then in the middle '80s, I was approached by a company called Geneva Capital Markets.
Mm-hmm.
And do you remember them, John?
I do.
Okay. And they were out of Costa Mesa, California. And they were at that time the world's largest evaluator and seller of privately held companies. And they needed somebody to run their Chicago office. And they approached me. And I said, after I went through the interview and I saw what kind of company it was and so forth. So I started their Chicago office in the mid '80s. And that was just a fantastic exposure to, as I said, the world's largest valuator of companies and seller of companies. They were founded by a marketing guru, a fellow by the name of Dick Rodnick, who sold Xerox learning systems to Xerox. And so Dick was a champion marketeer, and they had every day of the year they were putting a seminar on someplace on how to sell your company for the most profit, and that's what they used as their marketing emphasis. And so I think the numbers, John, broke down to they would invite about 6,000, no, 6,000 business owners in for the seminar. And I think I'd have to look up the numbers. They have the funnel worked perfectly. And it boiled down to that they were doing about 1,000 valuations a year, 1,000, and selling 100 privately held companies a year.
Yeah, I recall the seminars. How many did they usually wind up with in a room? I never went to one.
Oh, they wound up with 20, anywhere from 15 to 22 in a room. Okay. They trained the seminar leaders, and the seminar leaders were former business owners, former consultants, what have you. But they did a thorough job of training that leader. And then in the back of the room, they had what they called a analyst. And that analyst's job was, during that 2 days, was to scope and qualify the room as to a business owner that would be most likely to sign up for evaluation. From that, they would get roughly, let's see, 10% would sign up for the valuation. And as I said, they did 1,000 valuations a year. But and the valuation, part of the when they signed up somebody on the evaluation, they agreed after the valuation was delivered to sell that particular company if that business owner wanted to go forward with the sale. And so, you know, in the Chicago office and California office and New York office, those were our offices. we had the top of the crop, because if you were in the M&A business, why wouldn't you want to go work with a company like Geneva that had the deal flow? You didn't have to go out and get any, do the networking it took and so forth, because Geneva performed that marketing for you. So we wound up getting the best deal makers in the Midwest, and it was just a great experience from a management and also from an M&A point of view.
So how long did you do that?
I did that for about 6-7 years, and then I got the urge again to go back on my own. And as you know, if you the timing on that, that was when I was just starting the project a couple years before that of developing exit planning. So I wanted to take that philosophy and that model and introduce that to the marketplace on my own. So that's why I left Geneva and to start signing up business owners under that exit planning model of the 3 legs of the stool. And the 3 legs are to maximize the value of the business, get planned. Second leg is to get planned personally from a state tax and financial point of view. And the third leg of the stool was to get planned personally on what the hell you're going to do after you liquidated the business from the business or sold the business.
Right.
And when I was doing that, when I was introducing that and so forth, I don't know what year or when you got into the business, but
about 2010, 2011.
oh, okay. This was about 10 years or more before that. So, but at the time I was doing this, all the planning was going on after a sale.
Sure.
And not before a sale, when you could maximize all your effort. And what was happening is that you had all these advisors out there working in silos, lawyers in one silo, accountants in another silo, advisors in another silo. And there wasn't, we didn't have that emphasis of developing programs to increase the value of the business. That was not thought of. What was thought of is selling the damn business, getting a check for selling the business, and moving on to the next person. That's
Right.
what the brokerage model was at that time. So exit planning was, people weren't talking about, these silos were just operating separately, and they weren't talking about increasing value. They weren't talking about that at all. And they weren't talking about what are you going to do after you sell. And that wasn't going on. So we had to break new grounds and get those 3 legs of the stool out there, convince that business owner there's only one way to accomplish a successful exit. And that's with those 3 legs.
So at what point does EPI come in? Before the book or after the book?
Which book?
The $10 trillion opportunity.
That $10 trillion opportunity, they both come in at the same time. The $10 trillion opportunity was written so to launch exit planning and show and demonstrate to advisors the potential in the market out there for business owners and for selling companies.
And who I have to ask because I have no idea. Who is Peter Jackham?
Oh no, Richard Jackham.
Richard Jackham. I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, Richard was my partner at the
You're
time.
Peter. I know that.
Yeah. And that, hey, what makes it good? I know it too. No, Richard was my partner, and he was a Cornell lawyer, and he did most of the heavy lifting on the $10 trillion opportunity book. And so we started then, we had the book, and at the same time we were starting the Exit Planning Institute, and our strategy was to go out and certify advisors in exit planning using the three legs of the stool. And the $10 trillion opportunity, of course, showed everybody the opportunity that was out there for advisors. And it also came back, and part of the program was to develop these teams and start breaking down these silos to where they would start talking with each other and work with each other and so forth. There was no real marketing being done between these silos until exit planning came along. And everybody was looking for a business owner as a client. Accountants were looking, lawyers looking, and so forth.
Sure.
So what we came out with is, if you want business owners as clients, here is the strategy that you use to do it.
Yeah, I just wrote a letter today to some development people at one of the larger RIA aggregators. And I said, I had a friend sell his company a couple of years ago, and I talked to him a few days after the sale, and he was laughing. He said, I almost can't get in the front door of my house for all the FedEx envelopes from the financial planners that are laying on my porch. But that's too late.
That's right. That's exactly it. And that was part of our pitch. Hey, that point is too late once they accomplish the event. Okay.
Right.
What you got to talk them in is to doing the event and doing it right, And I tell you what, we were very successful in implementing it in Chicago as an M&A firm. And then we started in about 2005, 2006, started the certification classes. So, and I remember you took the one in Chicago, and
Yes,
that
I
was
did.
probably,
Yeah.
Was that 2010 or 11, something like that?
No, that was 18.
Oh, that was 18. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I
I
thought there was
started
18.
with BEI. I started with John Brown's program.
Oh, okay. And but anyhow, we were ready in 2008. We were ready to launch a national strategy. We were going to franchise, and we did, franchise the Christman Group as an M&A firm, national M&A firm. And for everyone that, and Rich and I developed this franchise, and everyone who bought a Christman Group franchise got a Exit Planning Institute chapter as a bonus to their franchise. You with me?
Mm-hmm.
And that chapter was supposed to be used as a marketing tool for the franchise.
Sure.
So that was our strategy. But you know what? We're ready to launch after spending much money in the franchise. We're ready to launch in 2008. Do I have to tell you what happened?
There was a little bit of an economic event. Yeah.
Exact. 2008 was the worst time that we could have picked to launch this thing.
And the saying that I was taught very early on by an investment banker was, your company matters, your revenues matter, your profits matter, your documentation and systems matter, but nothing matters as much as the condition of the financial markets.
Well, and that proved true for us, and that just disabled us, so that then in 2012, we were approached by a firm that you know of, that was in the industry, not in the M&A industry, but was in the industry, and that wanted to buy us, and particularly the Exit Planning Institute. And we did not want to. I didn't want to take our baby and merge it in with that firm. So Chris Snider at that time was a very active CEPA, and so I got together with Chris and qualified his interest, and because I knew he really loved the program. He put on our first summit that we had, and so anyway, make a long story short, Chris bought us, and that was in 2012. And of course, the rest, these guys have been just fantastic. He and Scott have been fantastic in doing what I wanted done with the company, and have grown the company and grown my baby. I just didn't have the resources back at that time, because I had used my resources on our franchise, remember?
Right.
And
How many
so
did you have any franchisees? Did that get off the ground at all? No, none.
No, we had
Ouch.
I got a nice, yeah, I got a nice franchise manual, we got all that crap. And I had all the brochures and all the marketing materials, and all of that stuff was done, paid for, and so forth. But it just, but anyhow, it's got a happy ending, and for Exit Planning Institute, and it validated the three legs of the stool, and has validated
It did, and it does, very much so.
Yes, yeah.
We've designed, the Exit Map product only does what Chris and Scott call the discovery gate,
Right.
the first part of it. But very much, we have a personal readiness meeting, we have a business readiness meeting, we have a financial readiness meeting, built into the system. So the three legs live on.
What year did you launch your program?
We launched the assessment in 2017.
Okay.
And I'm an inveterate tinkerer and tool maker. So I started putting out these coaching tools to go along with it for certain aspects of it. And we combined them and put out Exit Map Express, which is the 5-meeting system, in 2019. And it's only this year where we did the big change, which is we removed recommendations. The advisor no longer makes the recommendations. You take them through the exercises, you take them through the process, you show them their options, you model their different ideas as far as time, growth rate, what they want to have happen. And then you ask them, business owners can make decisions. They do it all day long. You ask them, what do you think is most important here that you need to do first? And you build their priorities. So the buy-in level is totally different, because it's their plan. It's what they said they wanted to do.
And they buy into their plan.
Right.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
And I was going to say, and their vision is clear. Okay, this is why I want to do this, because my life afterwards is going to be like this.
Right. And see, there was no discussion on that third leg of the stool.
Right.
Where people were talking about it. In fact, it wasn't. What really gave that whole exit planning thing a real big boost was when I met Peter Hickey.
Mm-hmm.
There was a guy that Peter Hickey was attempting to come over to the United States with Mouse, at that time. And
Right.
I saw his software that he had, and I said, oh my God, this is exactly what we do in exit planning, right? In that sitting down, and I'll never forget my first not catalog, the book. My first book of, but it had what we do is perform an evaluation for you. Now, what's the value of the evaluation? Da, 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 da. And here we do a SWOT analysis. Now, what's the value of what most people where they fell short was that they would talk about valuing it, evaluation, but they wouldn't talk about what's the real value of doing the valuation at this point in time. What about the value of a SWOT analysis at this time? And Peter's software just made it so much easier for and it was a big boost. It had to be a big boost for you too.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's it's funny because I say, even back in 2010, I had to explain to people what I meant when I said exit planning. Today, and I realize it's 14, 15 years later, but I mean, in the last 5 years, you don't have to explain it to anybody.
Right.
It's become a term of use. So you've got to have some pride there that there's a term of use in an industry that you started out with, and you brought it on. Um, so you sold EPI to Chris and Scott in
Mhm.
2012, and what'd you do then?
Well, then I just continued to phase into just retirement, but not just consulting and so forth. And I wrote the book, the master plan, in 2015, because when I was doing exit planning, I never did like the term exit. Never did like it. Because why? Because of confidentiality. One of the biggest things business owners are goosey about is confidentiality.
Sure.
None of you don't have exit planning or anything in your letterhead that you're sending to your clients. This is exit because you don't want the word to get out on the street.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So I thought the term master planning was a great term, but the industry that had started before me, very little. John was one of the ones, and John did it with financial advisors. But exit planning was a term that a few others were using. So I said, well, okay, screw it out. I would have preferred the term master planning because you could talk about that to anybody and not worry about confidentiality. Yeah.
Well, I think we've gotten exit fairly accepted.
Yeah.
It's and even nowadays when I talk to when we're working with owners, even though we don't spread exit all over the place, when we start talking about things like stay bonuses and stuff, it's a lot easier to sit down with employees and say, look, you know, Bob here, you all know Bob's 62 years old. He's not going today. He's not going tomorrow. But you do
Well,
realize that
yeah.
you're all 20 years younger than he is, and so there will be a day when you'll be here and he won't. That's the way it works. So
That's
it's
exactly it. Yep.
and why St. George? Why'd you move from Chicago to St. George?
Yeah. We were in the winters, we were going to Palm Desert
Mm-hmm.
and for the winter, and we always flew, and we always would take our standard poodle, and then our standard poodle was aging and couldn't fly anymore, so we drove from Chicago to Palm Desert. And one year, as we were going back to Chicago, I looked and saw that on the map you had to drive right through St. George. And I'd heard some good things about St. George and golf and so forth. So I make a long story short, we drove through here and met with a realtor over a weekend. We fell in love with the place right away, and
It's beautiful down there.
it's beautiful.
Yeah.
No question about that. But it's not, to be honest with you, John, it's not Chicago. And
Both good and bad.
yeah, that's right. That's right. But it's got some, like every place else, it's got some pluses, got some minuses. And I guess this battery is getting low. Can you hear that? Could you
Yeah,
hear that?
I can hear you fine.
Okay. So anyhow, that's why we picked St. George, and probably if I had to do it all over again, which I never look at stuff that way, but we probably would have stayed in Palm Desert and summered in Chicago, because my wife said downtown Chicago lady. Yeah.
Yeah, my roommate from undergraduate lives in Chicago. There are things, he talks about, squatters' rights on the space you shoveled out in front of your house, during the winter.
Yeah.
And I'm talking to him once during the summer, and he said, "I'm sorry, I've got to get off because we're barbecuing tonight, so I have to go down to Home Depot and buy a new barbecue." I said, "What happened? Your barbecue, crapped out?" And he said, "No." He said, "Last weekend was Puerto Rican Pride Day down at the lake, and every Weber on the block is gone."
It's funny. It's the truth. The truth
Yeah.
always hurts, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He still lives in Wrigleyville.
Oh, does he? Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
it's fun.
Yeah, we lived right. We were a block north of the Bean. We were a block east of Michigan Avenue, and great spot downtown. And I knew every restaurant tour down that area because that's the only way you're going to get in for a meal is to know them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Well,
okay.
what do you think about what it's become today?
Oh, all I can say is my dreams have come true. They have done a great. I mean, 800 people at the summit.
Yes.
What 5,000?
I didn't see you there.
No, I couldn't make it, unfortunately. And but they have accomplished exactly the purpose of selling it to them, and they've done a great job.
Good. Yeah, they're a dynamic pair.
Right.
And no, I've enjoyed the association with them, and they really have come to dominate the industry. I mean, although I'm friends with both John Brown and John Leonetti, their organizations aren't a fraction of what
Right.
Chris and Scott have built.
Yeah. And it's right. And I'll tell you, a big part is the success of the chapters. That's a real big factor.
And what happened to Richard?
Oh, Richard stayed in the M&A business, and his wife was a very successful Merrill Lynch financial advisor. So between the two, and I just talked to Rich a couple weeks ago, and he's contemplating retirement. So, but he's doing real well. And he partnered with another one of the guys that worked for us, Jim Bates, and they're doing well together.
Still in Chicago?
Yeah, still in Chicago.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I've enjoyed this, John.
I have too. It's been an absolute pleasure, Peter. I want to thank you so much for taking the time out with us. And
you're welcome. My pleasure.
We'll be seeing you around.
Okay, babe.
Talk to you soon. Thank you.
You take care. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
The fastest way to lose a client is to treat the exit as the finish line. The surest way to keep one Make what's next part of the plan long before any transaction. Exit Map changes everything and turns next step planning into your strongest retention tool. Exit Map is the only structured discovery system built to be the first step in every advisory relationship. The 5-meeting process helps advisors guide owners through the essentials of successful transition planning: financial readiness, business readiness, and personal readiness, so they gain real clarity about what life looks like after the business. You guide the process by facilitating deeper conversations. They own the plan by discovering their own priorities and defining what success truly looks like. The result? A documented set of goals, a personal vision, and a prioritized action plan. Built by the client, giving them clarity about their future and giving you a roadmap for supporting it. Exit Map. You guide it, they own it. Take a test drive at exitmap.com